good. We know after reviewing the film of the game, it was a really good win for our team. And I think the things that were encouraging was the intangible things that we did in the game. Played with a lot of effort, played with a lot of toughness, very physical in the game. And I think our players really competed well in the game. I mean, when things went wrong, they hung in there and played the next play and kept competing in the game and never really got flustered or lost their poise. Examples of that would be, like not playing great on defense but getting two huge stops, inside the 10-yard line. Offense controlling the ball like they did. Never really had any ball security issues in all the plays we played. The ball wasn't on the ground. When we did turn it over, the defense that didn't play so well when we were ahead by 7 points and turned it over in not great field position, go 3 and out. We have a kickoff return for a touchdown in the game, which is obviously not a good thing, but then get the ball back with, just a minute 30 or whatever and take it down and able to convert, a field goal in 2 minutes before the half. So, all these things are, very encouraging signs from a competitive standpoint. But, it's also very obvious, like a lot of first games that I saw from a lot of teams, that you need to get better execution on a more consistent basis, whether, we missed a hot, we missed a block, made the wrong line call and got a negative play, made too many mental errors on defense, whether it's hurry up or didn't hurry up, or we had new linebackers playing. None of that matters. I mean, really, we got to have better preparation, better attention to detail, and more guys on our team able to play winning football on a consistent basis. And obviously, first game experience for some guys that haven't played a lot is certainly, monumental in terms of them understanding and developing. So everybody's got to sort of make a commitment, coaches, players, that we got to do a little better job of getting ready to play a game, not just emotionally, all right, which that part of it was fine, but in terms of being smarter than the other team, playing smarter, not making as many mistakes, not giving them opportunities to make plays because of our errors. And these things are all correctable and fixable, and that's certainly something that, we want to focus on, this week. We had some players of the week, Amari Cooper, T.J. Yeldning, Justin Fowler, and you might say, well, Justin Fowler, he didn't carry the ball. He did a great job of blocking, did a really good job on special teams too. Defensively, Jonathan Allen, Landon Collins, and Cyrus Jones all played really well in special teams. Adam Griffith and J.K. Scott. The two specialists were, the guys that did a really, really good job. Other than that, we didn't have a whole bunch of production on special teams, and I had one really negative play. But we're really looking forward to, our home opener, this weekend, and I know it's an early start on SEC Network, and we had great fan support and was really encouraged by the enthusiasm that our fans showed in Atlanta, and very hopeful that we'll have a great crowd for the home opener to support, this team so that we can contribute to their improvement by the atmosphere that we create. Florida Atlantic, had a pretty good year last year, and really got off to a pretty good start against Nebraska, believe it or not. The quarterback got hurt about the 26th play of the game, and then they weren't nearly as good, after that, because he is probably, the center of what they do and is a very, very effective player. Last year he was a leading passer, leading rusher, leading in a lot of categories, and last year they were a very, very good defensive team. So, these guys are well coached, and we certainly have a lot of respect for them. But the focus is on, what we need to do to make our team better. And that's what we're going to really try to focus on this week. And I think it's really important how much you improve from first game to second game. And I think the key to being successful in this season for a lot of teams, that I saw is going to be who can improve, who can make that improvement. And that's what we're really, focused on.
I have two, Coach. First, could you update us on DeAndre White and his shoulder?
There's two injuries really in the game that are significant, and I meant to mention it. DeAndre White probably has a shoulder injury that probably 2 weeks, and then see how it goes from there. Jarek Williams had a Jones fracture in his foot, which I didn't know anything about after the game. And he said his foot was hurt, and they did an x-ray, actually finished the game. And they put a screw in it yesterday, so he'll be 4 weeks for sure. And then we'll kind of see where he goes from there.
And the follow-up was, or the other question, Cyrus making players of the week. Some people say, oh, West Virginia completed this pass, that pass. Just could you expound a little on how Cyrus played and why the coaching staff chose him?
I could not hear what you're saying. Is that thing on? What about him?
Yeah, just could you expound a little on why he was chosen?
Well, the guy, I think we, played really, really well. He made two big plays, inside the 10-yard line. He was the one guy that consistently did what he was supposed to do in the secondary, and did a good job of covering and didn't give up many plays. And we actually, when they kept throwing the ball to number 11, flip-flopped them to number 11 in the game, and on the down on the last time we stopped him, he was the guy that was covering the guy on the fade route, so and got the ball down. So he's had a really good camp. He's really matured as a player, much more confident this year than a year ago, and has played really well. I think he has a good understanding, and smart guy, has poise to adjust. So we thought he really did a good job. We do this a lot on production points. Combination of a guy's grade, which is consistency in terms of doing what he's supposed to do, but also production points, which is plays, tackles, knockdowns, passes defended, sacks, tackles for loss, caused fumbles, recovered fumbles, those kind of things.
John? I had two questions also. If you could, just after evaluating film, could you talk about Blake Sims' performance and what you saw for a first-time starter?
Yeah, well, Blake did a good job in the game. He had a couple open guys that he missed, and we had a couple good throws that he made that were dropped. Those are the kind of things that we're talking about cleaning up on both sides, of the fence. I think, the only negative was, especially in the second quarter, which I mentioned, after the game, he, poised and calling the plays in the huddle, taking too long in the huddle. We had to call timeout a couple times. Those types of things are the game management issues that, we have to improve upon. We actually went no huddle for a little bit, which then he got settled down, and then he was fine after that. So, but I thought it was good. I still don't hesitate to say that there's a quarterback competition, and that in some way we'll probably try to play both quarterbacks, in this game. I don't know how. When I figure it out, I'm probably not going to tell you, so don't ask. So, and I don't know that's that important, to be honest with you.
And switching sides of the ball, you did get some pass rush. And could you talk about kind of how the secondary and the pass rush played, and how much room for improvement there is in those areas?
Well, we didn't play very well in the secondary at all. We didn't play very well at linebacker. We had too many miscommunications, too many missed coverages, too many missed assignments. I think that in a lot of cases, the ball came out so fast that whether it was a screen or a bubble pass or a smoke or a quick pass, and they throw so many screens, the defensive linemen have to do a really good job of retracing on the screen. There was an example in the game where, Jaron Reed did it even though he missed a tackle, messed the play up. It was a 3-yard gain. Another time, nobody did it, and the thing was like a 17-yard gain. So, there's more factors than just how many sacks you got or how much you pressured the quarterback. I don't think we did a very good job of executing pressures in the game. But the 4 guys that played up front, I don't think we always played the blockers like we need to. And I think that we have a lot to improve on defensively all the way around. So, I'm not disappointed. It is what it is. This is where we are. This is the starting point. I've seen all these players do things better than they did, so we know they're capable, and we need to now be able to take it out there to the field and play with poise and be able to adjust and, respond. The 2 guys that probably, Reggie and Ruben playing linebacker for the first time, fast-paced game, really went fast early in the game. Even though we tried to make it simple, they did a few different formations and things that, sort of got their composure a little bit ruffled. And I think that affected, everybody around them. But I also think those guys settled down and played a little bit better in the second half, which is, encouraging. This is probably the toughest situation for new players that have no experience as a signal caller, trying to go out there and make those kind of adjustments in the game. So they're all going to benefit tremendously from that experience, which I think is probably the most important thing.
Just wondering what you saw from Cam Robinson in his first game, and then also at right guard rotating Leon and Alphonse Taylor there.
Well, Cam did a really good job, considering the fact that he's a freshman. It's the first game he's ever played, in college. And, there were some things that he could do better. And there were also a couple mental errors that, that he made. But we were really, really encouraged with, how he played, where he is, and hopefully he'll build on and improve in that regard. And I think, both the guys at right guard played okay, and we think both guys can improve and play better.
2 questions. You mentioned a couple of the explosive plays that West Virginia made. Is that more mental, not getting the right call, not making the right adjustment, or physical, just getting beat and missing tackles?
Well, I think it's a combination of all the above. I mean, there were times when several plays that we were in position and the guy didn't play the ball. It's not what he's coached to do. He's coached to play the ball. He's capable of playing the ball. He didn't play the ball. So that's poise and confidence. I mean, you're getting phase on the guy. You're supposed to look for the ball and play the ball. There were other times where, they put a whole bunch of formation into the boundary, all right, which you can say, what does that mean? Well, it basically means that the guys that practiced all that stuff when the formation was to the field didn't necessarily get to practice it, so we didn't always react to the plays, like we should have. And I think a couple other times we had mental errors in coverage, like who was covering who, where's the stunt coming from. So it's kind of a combination of all the things that you said. It's not one particular thing. And I think most of it was created not by lack of knowledge or inability, but by confusion. All right. Once early in the game, the 2 linebackers got a little bit confused. I think that they called things one way, the game plan may have called for it to go the other way, the secondary's out there trying to play it the way it's supposed to be, and then it ends up backwards. Because if you do something on defense, if everybody does it wrong, it's right. Really. I mean, you can make the wrong call, but if everybody plays the wrong call, it turns out right. Everybody gets covered, all the gaps get covered. But when you really have a huge issue is when the guys up front are doing it one way and the guys in the back are doing it the other, somebody doesn't get covered. All right, and that happened a couple times. All right, and so, but, you know, am I happy about it? Are we happy about it? No. All right, but, you know, I kind of anticipated some of this, you know, based on how they play, what they would do, knowing that they would do things that were different. And, you know, so my focus is, you know, how can we get everybody settled down? And it really wasn't until halftime, until we, you know, had sort of the calm in the midst of chaos. You know, I mean, that's really what we needed. All right, so, but, and you know, we have some guys that play out there, they're not used to that. All right, they're not used to things not happening right. So that affects them a little bit too.
And secondly, with Jarek being out, is Gino fully available to step in there, or who are some other guys that could play that position?
Gino has always played it. He played it in the game. And, you know, Maurice Smith plays it. You know, Eddie Jackson we're going to probably start investing some reps in Eddie Jackson, you know, this week. I don't know if we'll see whether we think he can play or not. He thinks he can play. He thinks he's ready to play. He thinks he's ready to go. Doc's cleared him to go. So, you know, we just haven't invested the reps in him with the ones and twos, because if you do that and a guy can't play, then that's somebody else you could have repped that didn't get the reps. Now he's going to have to play in a game. So we're going to start investing some reps in him, and then we'll decide later in the week whether we think he's okay to go or not.
Front here, Ken.
When it was going real fast in the first half, how important was it that your offense was able to go on a 14-play drive and then a 13-play drive later on? And you mentioned a couple offensive line guys, but talk about that unit as a whole.
Well, but I think that, you know, one of the plans going into a game like this is that they want to go fast. But if we have the ball, they can't really do that. All right, so it was to try to control the ball in the game and keep it away from them, which we did very, very well. All right, we did very well in the game. Now, we can't get, you know, we had 3 penalties in the second half on first down that all put you behind the 8 ball when you want to play like that. All right, so you end up with 1st and 20 twice and 1st and 15 another time. So, you know, that part of it wasn't great. But I do think our offensive line controlled the line of scrimmage. Our running backs ran the ball well. We executed, you know, very well on most of our plays from an efficiency standpoint. And when we didn't, we usually didn't quite block them right, you know, from a point-out standpoint. So it was really important in a game.
Coach, just how you used Henry and Yeldon in that mix in the game, and how do you feel like it played out? Both rushed for 100 yards, but how do you like the flow of each guy?
Well, that's how we sort of went in the game, planning to play the game, and probably used Kenyon Drake, you know, a little bit more in special situations, and just didn't maybe come up where he would play. We thought he would play a little bit more in the game. It didn't quite come up quite as much, those situations. But, you know, we have a lot of confidence in all 3 of those guys, and I like the way both guys played. And that's probably, you know, as long as we can keep them healthy and they can stay healthy, that's probably how we'll play.
coming off the big game, non-conference game in a neutral site, what's the message to the team this week about staying focused with 2 non-conference games coming up?
Well, it really doesn't matter about that. You know, I've already talked about that, really. You know, the focus is on our team getting better. All right, so if we're focused on getting better, and that's really the point of emphasis, I mean, not that we don't respect our opponent, but it doesn't really have anything to do with who you're playing. It has everything to do with who you are, all right, and how you respond to the challenge of going out and doing the things that we need to do to improve and play better. And we're not where we need to be. We're not the team that we can be. So if you're challenged by that, then why is it so important? Why is the external factor of who you're playing have anything to do with how you play? So that means if we're playing against Michael Jordan, we play our best game. But if we're playing against just another old basketball player, then we play just like another old basketball player. Is that your thinking on this? Because it's not mine. All right, so, and if it's our players' thinking, I can tell you right now, I'm going to be pretty pissed about it. So.
Last one real quick.
I know it's not something you've done a lot here, having the offensive coordinator on the sideline. I wondered just how it went going that first time with having Lane down there in terms of communication. And
I think it went really well, and I think if he wasn't on the sidelines, we would have had a lot more issues, maybe more issues than we could overcome, you know, to be successful in the game. He did a really good job of managing, you know, Blake, and helped him manage the game as much as you could ever do it. And I don't think anybody could have done that had he been in the press box. So I think that was critical to, but you know, that got decided 2 weeks ago. All right, that guy decided this is how we're going to play this game. This is what we got to do. This is the sidelines. This is the game administration. So it was practiced. All right, it wasn't just like, okay, let's go do it this way. All right, and so you know, Lane did a really good job. The whole offensive staff did a good job of getting the information. But I think from a game management standpoint, it really went well.
Thanks, Coach.
All right.